If you are a real estate investor or wholesaler and you're looking for more motivated sellers in a different way, instead of going out and doing cold calling and sending out unsolicited text messages and all that other old school stuff, then this video is for you, because today I'm going to share with you how to go out and find motivated sellers using Facebook ads. I'm going to be going through step by step the entire process. I got this document right here in front of me. I'm going to go through it step by step. And what I want you to do is I want you to make a comment about any other additional questions and or video topics you want to discuss in the future. So let's go ahead and get right onto it. Now, why online lead generation? First of all, you're getting warm leads. So that's a big difference when you are dealing with cold calling or dealing with SMS and a lot of those methods that are just outreach methods where you're going out and finding motivated sellers that way. These people never raised their hands and said, hey, talk to me please, I want to sell my property. So when you're on the phone with them, they're like, who are you? Are you a scam? And so you got to kind of overcome all this friction, right? However, when you're dealing with online lead generation, these are warm leads. They filled out a form and they said, yes, I am interested, please call me. So when you reach out to them, it's a much different conversation, a much pleasant conversation. There's also less competition because there is a barrier to getting this done. You have to know what you're doing. But if you really want to get into the nitty gritty details of it, you really got to get some in-depth training. And so, unlike cold calling, where it's just, hey, a script, get a number, and off to the races you go, it's more complicated. That means that there's a barrier of entry, which means that there's going to be less investors doing it. There's some tech required, and you're going to see in a minute what that tech is. It's a higher learning curve than cold calling, SMS, or direct mail. And you also to keep in mind is that if you are interested in doing the nationwide wholesaling model, in order to do wholesaling and doing it across multiple states, it's very difficult to do that with cold calling or direct mail or some of these other strategies. Why? Because the amount of money and or human hours required in order to execute those strategies in a nationwide model. Whereas when you're dealing with Facebook and online lead generation, then you can go out and run your ads at a very low budget across several states, across the entire country, still be able to generate leads and not have to spend a bunch of money. I mean, you could do $10 a day and start generating leads. Why Facebook versus pay-per-click? Now, pay-per-click is somebody searches online, sell my house fast. These are the ads that show up. So you can advertise on Google and have your ads show up. But if you think about it, if you're a property owner and you're here, what are you doing? You're clicking on each of these ads and you're filling out the information, right? One after the other. And so what happens is that when you're dealing with this particular strategy, pay per click, there's more competition. So Facebook is easier, first of all, to learn versus PPC. PPC has a steeper learning curve. Facebook is also more forgiving than pay per click. Pay per click, you have to get everything 100% correctly. If one thing is off with pay per click, you're screwed. Google's going to take your money and give you no leads whatsoever. So everything has to be on point. With Facebook, people are not in that problem solving state just yet. You're catching them early, which means that now you have them to yourself, typically without any competition, and you're not pressed for time in order to get a hold of them. Now, with Facebook, you can start with a lower budget on Facebook versus pay per click. You can do, even if it's just $10 a day nationwide, that's you can start getting leads. You may only get one lead a day, but still, nevertheless, you're going to get leads. Some of the negatives with this particular strategy, it is going to require for you to spend money. So if you do not want to spend any money on any advertising method, and maybe you don't have any money, then this strategy may not be for you. You may have to do cold calling. You may have to get some phone numbers, take out your phone and start dialing away and slave away at that phone for hours on end. What about the Apple versus iOS saga, right? Meaning that in the news, Facebook and Apple, they're fighting it out. And then everybody says, oh, you can't track on Facebook. Facebook is not going to be so great anymore. Well, I just wanted to show you this. Look, this has not caused an issue with our leads. And I'll tell you in a second why. Here's a campaign that we ran. This is actually from several campaigns that we ran over. I forgot what the period of time was, a couple months. We spent $23,000, generated 784 leads. This is just recent, like this month and last month, I think. Another example is a $20,000, spent 20,407. We got 667 leads at $30.60 per lead. Now we're running these in a not nationwide, but rather in a very select targeted area, so the cost per lead is a little bit higher. The reason why we don't have an issue with Facebook is because the way that we were targeting before this whole fiasco with Facebook and Apple was such that we were just targeting very wide geographically, right? And so we were just telling Facebook, go out into the United States or into whatever the location, there's several states that we're targeting, and just show our ads. And so then now with the changes in Facebook, that really didn't affect us. All right, let's go ahead and get through this here. This is a Facebook step by step. We're going to get into the meat. Now, this checklist is based on using lead forms, which is Facebook has its own internal system of using forms in order to collect customer data. I recommend that in the beginning just to kind of make things easier. You're going to need a domain. Go to namecheap.com and get a good domain name. Don't be quirky with your domains. Like a bad domain is quicksaleforyou.com. Because then you'll be telling the seller like, okay, it's a letter four, the number four instead of FOR, and it's not UYOU, but it's you, and you're gonna be spending all day long doing that. Home Solutions LLC, whatever your corporation is, don't use that. Make a domain that makes sense, so that when you tell the seller that you're hey, my name is Chris from Chris buys houses all over the country.com, yeah, it's a long domain, but it's easy to tell the seller that, and they would know right away, oh, I get it, I know what you do. And then you're going to go ahead and set up a website. Some of you have Carrot. If you don't have Carrot, you can go ahead and use my affiliate link to get Carrot. Go to chrischico.com/website, and you can get a website with them. I do get paid a couple bucks for doing that. I have a Carrot site. If once you're sending, however, people to a landing page, you're going to need more specific landing pages. So for the purposes of this tutorial, it's not necessary, but if you wanted to get my landing page templates, you can go to flipanywhere.com/ClickFunnels. It'll take you to a page that looks like this, actually, and then ask you to add the funnel, and then it will give you the opportunity to sign up for a free trial. Not needed for this tutorial. Bottom line is you need a website because you need a privacy policy. So whatever your domain is, if it's Chris buys ugly ass houses all over the USA.com, not saying that's a good domain, then it would be /privacy. And that would have your privacy policy because you need that to be able to enter it into the lead form. Next, we're going to go ahead and set up a business manager account. Go to business.facebook.com. I can't do too many. I can't do business manager video tutorials because I already have a ton of business managers, and you're only limited in the amount of ones that you can create. So I can't be creating all these business managers because Facebook has said, oh, you have too many already. So what you can do is go to do a YouTube search, and the YouTube search is just going to be set up business manager, and then I would filter that by. You could still filter that by upload date, but I would specifically maybe just look for stuff that's within the last 6 months, right? This one's a good one, 4 months. This one's 10 months ago. So this one's 1 month ago. So these are just simple tutorials on how to set up a business manager. So a business manager is like a little corporation inside of Facebook. You don't want to advertise using your own personal ad account. You want to be using a business manager account. And so that's what you want to do. That's your first step really in getting this off the ground. You're going to go ahead and create an ad account inside of your business manager. One tip I would give you is whatever name you want to name things the same so you don't get confused. So name your ad account the same as your domain name, right? And then add yourself as an admin to this account inside of your business manager. And then you need to add add a payment method, right, to the account. So you're going to go ahead and do that. Then inside the business manager, you're going to go ahead and create a pixel, right? And so again, name the pixel the same as your domain name. And so the ad account and the pixel are going to be named the same. So when you're on this business manager screen, you can go ahead and select pixels, and then you're going to go ahead and click on add. It'll give you the option to create a pixel. You create the ad account first, then the pixel, and then you take the pixel and you add it into your ad account. Not with your fingers, but with your keyboard. You're going to verify your domain. So you have to verify that that's a domain that you own, because Facebook wants to make sure that that domain you have access to. So you're going to go into brand safety inside of your business manager, and then you're going to add a domain, and it's going to walk you through the steps of of how to add that domain into your account and how to verify it. Now, you might be thinking, oh my God, Chico, this is very difficult. Why should I do this? Oh my gosh, you're overwhelming me. Well, it's only overwhelming if you've never done it before. Think about when you first had, never mind. It's difficult sometimes. And so that means that less people are going to do it. So the less people do it, the better your chances are, because the best way to compete is not to have any competition at all. All right, next you're going to go ahead and create a business page. So you're going to go ahead and go to the business manager. You do that inside of the business manager. If you already have a page that you created, you can actually bring it in. Right? When you click on the ad, you can request access to a page, which is your own page, or you can create a new page. And what you want to do is you want to spruce it up. You have to add yourself as an admin to the page, and also you want to name the page the same as everything else you've named so far, right? So everything matches. Give you an example of a bad business page, like here, just a generic stock photo image, a generic photo of some cartoon characters. The name of the page is some like corporation LLC. What you want is you want to make it personal. Put your picture. Put, hey, a nice graphic. Name the page the same as everything else, right? So it's all congruent, and that's what you really want to do. All right, next we want to create a lead form. So the lead form is how you're going to be collecting the information. You're going to go to your page from the business manager. You can go ahead and click on to go view your page from the inside the business manager. When you get to the page, you have a menu that looks like this. You'll go to publishing tools, and then from there is when you're going to go ahead and go to instant forms, right? So you click on publishing tools, you click on more tools, the little three bars here, and then it brings you to instant forms. So you're going to create a form that you're going to use in order to collect information from the customers. And the recommendation on the lead form questions is going to be now you're allowed to put custom questions and standard questions. So the custom questions will appear up at the top of the lead form. So the questions we ask is who is living at the property? How soon would you like to sell? What is the current condition of the property? What is the best time of day to call? What is your ultimate goal with the property? And then the standard fields, which is full name, email, and phone. Very important. We do not ask for the address because you're advertising under the housing category with Facebook. Then you are not allowed to request location and or property information from clients when you're using lead forms. So that's part of the lead form terms and conditions. So you cannot ask for the address. You can't ask for anything related to property location. So they're going to give you everything except the address, and then you're going to have to just call the prospect and be able to get the address from them. Now, if you're using a landing page, if you're sending someone to the landing page, then you can ask whatever you want. It just happens to be with lead forms, you're not able to ask for location information. Next, we want to create images, right? And now all these things, I'm giving them to you in the order that you should do them, because then it flows naturally, right? Meaning that if I left the domain name for the end for me to give you to do that, then it's going to hold you up in a lot of these steps. So all this is flowing in the order upon which you're going to do them. So you're going to create images. You know what works well for us is pictures of signs like this. Houses wanted. That's a very simple image. What also works is pictures of ugly houses. So let me share with you how to find pictures of ugly houses. So if you go and search ugly houses on Google, you'll find these. But these technically are copyrighted images. If you use them, you might get in trouble. It's like taking candy from the jar. Sometimes you take a candy and nobody notices. You're like, hey, nobody noticed. Let me take another one. Let me take another one. So I don't want to tell you to go out and get these pictures, right, that are showing on the screen here, because, what if, somebody comes and says, hey, you're using my image and now I'm going to sue you for $50,000 and, blah, blah, blah. So that could happen. But so I'm telling you that not to do that, not to do that. So you get my drift? What you should be doing is you go to tools and you do usage rights, and then you put Creative Commons licenses, which means that you can use these images without technically I don't know the law. So again, at least you can use these images without having to pay for them, right? Another kind of hack that you can use is a Craigslist. So if I go to Craigslist.com and type in handyman special, type in the word cash, Look, I can look for ugly houses here, and I'm like, oh wow, this is a nice ugly house. I guess there's no ugly houses in Florida anymore, but you would find a house here. But again, you might be infringing on a copyright, so should not go to Google and grab any images, because then that way I'm covered legally. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and create the campaign. So this is the campaign structure, and I'll show you inside the ads manager in just a second. But you have a campaign, and then you have each campaign can have ad sets. We put two ad sets, one that has no interest, meaning that we don't put any targeting at all. We just tell Facebook, go find us some people, find us the people that we want. And another one that we put in and dump in a bunch of interest. And then each one of them has an ad. When we do what's called dynamic creative. So inside the ad, we put in three images, we put in a variety of different texts, and then we tell Facebook, go crazy. Just go and mix and match whatever you think to help us find some people that want to sell their property. I will show you how this looks like here. So if I'm going to create a campaign right now, I'm going to create a leads campaign. I'm going to click on continue. And then I'm going to go ahead and say I can name this campaign called Nationwide Sellers, and I'll put the date on it, right? And then I have to select the housing category. That's very important. And then I'm going to go ahead and select campaign budget optimization. Then, if you notice here, this is the campaign. I mentioned this is the ad sets, and then these are the ads, right? So I created this campaign here, and have the ad set. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create my first ad set here. So let's call this one no interest. All right. And then I'm going to say we're going to be using instant forms. So we're going to be using lead forms. Then you have to find your business page. I've got a lot of pages, and so that's why a lot of stuff shows up. Um, but let's say this is the page. And then if you never used this before, it'll say, did you accept lead form terms of service? You'll click on yes. We'll click on dynamic creative, which is where we put in a bunch of images, etc. In terms of the audience, we're not going to put anything. You can put exclusion audiences. In this video, I didn't cover like making different audiences for like retargeting, but we don't do that much retargeting. I'm trying to keep this video also simple. Otherwise, this video will be like an hour long. Right now, we're not going to put any audiences, but we can exclude audiences. So we can exclude. We have a general retargeting audience, meaning anybody that's visited our website. We have anybody that's opened the form, we want to exclude them. Anybody that is interacted with our page, we want to exclude them. And the reason we do this is because anybody that submitted a lead form already, we want to exclude that. Lean forward submitted. Anybody that so because we want to do is we want to make sure that this campaign goes out to new people each and every time it goes out. And so therefore, we're excluding, we're taking and we're creating audiences. So when people come to our website, we can identify them. And then we want Facebook never to show our ads to those people again. We want them to just continually go out and find this new prospects. Here's where we put our interest. And this one is the ad set without any interest. So we're not going to put anything in there. We're going to put automatic placements. And then we're going to go ahead and create our ad. So this is going to be our ad. And what we're going to do is we are going to go down here and we're going to select a bunch of images, right? So we can select that image, we can select let's see here, we can select that image, this image, that image, for example. So we have a bunch of images, and then we will put our primary text, right? Attention property owners that are looking to sell their property fast, uh, for a fair price. And maybe I put a little emoji here, there. Um, our company is looking, and you just put your copy. Our company is looking to buy a few properties this month. We're willing to pay, the typical verbiage that you normally would put that you could find on the website in terms of, primary benefits of selling your house as is, quickly, blah, blah, blah. And then you can put in a couple of these in here. So you can put another primary text too, right? Just gonna put that as a placeholder. And then you can put a headline in here. So let's see, you could sell your house ask for a fair price. So the headline is what appears. You see where it says I don't know if you can see in the lower right hand corner, it says form on Facebook. That's where the headline appears. The primary text is the one that appears above the image. And then you have the description. Yeah, I wouldn't pay too much. I would just put in click the learn more button, because sometimes the description doesn't really show up in all placements. Call to action, and then this is where you select your lead form. So the lead form that you created will show up here. You select it, and then that becomes the lead form that's going to be used on when somebody clicks the ad. Here it says sign up. I typically just, you can put learn more as the button. And then the other thing is you got to make sure that you select your pixel. So whatever your pixel is that you're using, you make sure you select it. That's very important. That this will go unselected. That means that the ads are running without any sort of learning or any information back to Facebook. And so then if this is the ad set no interest, you would duplicate this one time, and then you would go ahead and create one called all interest. Everything's the same, except you would take all the interests that you want to target and put them in here. You can put, hey, anybody that visited Zillow, so that's an interest, right? So you just put them all in there, and then at that point, then now you're ready to publish the campaign, and then to be able to, it's going to take a day or so. It'd probably take a full day if it's your first time, in order to get that account that approved. And at that point, it can start to run. The last step, while that you're waiting on that, you want to set up your Zapier. So you're going to use a system called Zapier.com, which is so that way when somebody fills out your lead information, then now you can send that lead somewhere else. You can send that lead to your email, to your phone as a text message, to your sales system that you're using, or your CRM, whether that be Follow Up Boss, Trello, Freedom Soft, etc. So all that can be sent that way. Next, you've got to click on the video that shows up here or there. There's a video that shows up here. That video details my nationwide wholesaling model. You're going to take this strategy and implement it with that strategy, and that will give you all the leads and opportunities you want as a real estate investor and a wholesaler. So go watch that video now.